Finding the square root of a number simply means finding what number times itself gave you this original number. Sometimes they're really easy because you're used to them from your multiplication tables. Sometimes they can be a little bit harder, however. If we look at 25, 25 most people would be able to tell is 5 times 5, but how could we prove that? I know that if I was making a square and something times something was 25, that means that these two things need to be the same. So if I took 25 and I broke it down into its prime number parts, divided by 5 and 5, I see that 25 is made up of two 5s. That means that each of these parts had to be 5, so the square root of 25 is 5. But on a harder number like 196, I may not know what number times what number gives me 196. I do know, though, however, that two numbers that are the same will multiply to create 196. As long as the two numbers are the same, I must have done it right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 196 and I'm going to break it down to its prime number parts. It's even, so I'll divide it by 2, and that is 98. And if I divide that by 2, because it's still even, it's 49. And I can't divide that by 2 or 3 or 5. It's 7. Here's what I see. I see that 196 is made up of a 2 and a 2 and a 7 and a 7, meaning that each side here, and I'm going to clear out these question marks now, each side can have a 2 and a 7 and a 2 and a 7 because there's enough 2's, one for each side, enough 7's, one for each side. All I have to do is multiply them, and I can see that each side is 14 and 14. So the square root of 196 must be 14. As long as both sides end up being the same, I must have done it correctly. You can pause the video here and try numbers 3 and 4. When I look at a number like 36, I may just know it's 6 times 6, but let's say I didn't. If I take 36 and I break it down to its prime number parts, it's even, so that's 18, and that's even, and that's 9. That's not even, but it is divisible by 3. I see that the number 36 is made up of two 2's and two 3's. So that means if both sides of the square have a 2 and a 3, that means 2 times 2 on this side is 6, and 2 times 2 on this side is 6, which means 6 must be the square root of 36. If I do the same with 225, I don't know that one off the top of my head, so I'm going to do 225. It's clearly divisible by 5. Okay. I know 45 is also divisible by 5, which is 9. And if I divide that by 3, I get 3. So what I see is that 225 is made up of 5 and 5 and 3 and 3. And as long as both parts of the square each get one of these 5's and each get one of these 3's, then each side must be 15 and 15. So their square root must be 15.